Hi, I'm Ben Meyer.
And I'm Rob Wright.
And this week we wanted to talk a little bit about DRM. Recently, it came out that two of EA's big PC releases for 2008, Spore and more notably Mass Effect, BioWare's Mass Effect, would be getting Sony's notorious DRM software, SecureROM. Now, this created a huge uproar in the Mass Effect forum, and so much so that EA backtracked and said, we're going to remove some parts of the SecureROM software when the games are released. So, Rob, you've been covering this for Tom's Games. What are the requirements for the DRM in SecureROM, and what did they remove?
Well, basically, when it was announced on the BioWare official forum for Mass Effect, they said that the SecureROM was going to limit the number of activations, which we already knew that SecureROM did that. I think the limit is 3, so 3 activations before you have to call EA and ask them to give you more. So that's really unfortunate. But even more unfortunate, and this is the real kicker, is this version of SecureROM was going to have a sort of 10-day re-authentication process requirement. In other words, 10 days after you activate the game for the first time, it's going to ask you to connect to the internet, to connect to EA's servers, and re-authenticate your activation code to make sure that it hasn't gone public and that no one else is using it. So essentially what will happen is after you start playing the game, on the 5th day, it's going to send a message to EA. And if for some reason you don't have an online connection, it'll wait until the 10th day. And on the 10th day, if you still haven't connected to the internet to let EA know that you have a valid activation key, the game shuts down.
That seems kind of crazy to me.
Yes.
But, they did pull it off in favor of, just all the people that went crazy on the forums. So based on what's left, do you think it's an acceptable amount of DRM, understanding that nobody wants any DRM, but...
No. I mean, I don't mind certain types of DRM and copy protection. Everybody knows, I think by now, that I'm pretty anti-piracy and I'm for copyright protection. I just don't like it when it gets in the way of legit users, and this is certainly going to do that. I mean, it's essentially the same thing as BioShock last year. In fact, it's actually a little bit worse because basically what Take-Two had to deal with after that initial uproar with SecureROM, they came in and said, all right, the 3 activation limit is, a little ridiculous. We'll up it to 5. So you have 5 installations. Right. Now this version of SecureROM, you're only getting 3. Now whether or not EA comes back or BioWare comes back and says, hey, we're doing away with all of SecureROM, or we'll up the activation limit, who knows? But as it is now, it's actually kind of worse than what we were dealing with BioShock last summer. And remember, we thought that was as bad as it was going to get.
But wasn't it also the case with BioShock, though, that the SecureROM didn't actually work even as intended, and it was crashing people's systems?
Yeah, it was awful. I mean, it was being detected as a rootkit. It had rootkit technology in it. It was a mess. People were calling up Take-Two and saying, I don't know what to do. They were getting conflicting messages about where to go to get it resolved. Yeah. But
now, and people were surprised by it, but take a SecureROM now that doesn't have, playing devil's advocate, that doesn't have the bugs, it's coming, if one online activation, is that really that bad? I mean, would fans put up with it?
I think so. I mean, I think that it's still too much, and I just think that just having something called SecureROM right now is such a huge albatross, and it's going to turn off so many PC gamers. They're really putting their prospective audience at risk. So I definitely think it's a bad move, regardless of the changes that they make to it. And it's already kind of left a sour taste in the mouth. I mean, a lot of people on the forums, our own forums, and the official Mass Effect forums are saying they're still not going to buy this game. So
that's a big problem. But despite that, do you think that they're probably going to leave this version of SecureROM on these titles? I would think it's getting pretty close to release, at least for a Mass Effect. And but do you think that they're going to continue to do this? I mean, it seems like they would.
I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting question. What do you do? How do you protect the game? How do you keep the game from falling into the hands of pirates right now? I definitely don't think this is the answer. On the other hand, we've had a number of piracy discussions on our forums lately, a number of articles that have sort of sparked that discussion, and a lot of people have come out and say, hey, if a game is really great, enough people are going to buy it. You don't have to worry about piracy. If it's good, even the pirates will buy it. But that's not the case. I mean, look at Call of Duty 4. Right. Call of Duty 4, game of the year. Everyone loves it. It's great. Infinity Ward comes to us and says, hey, half the people that are playing this game online multiplayer are using cracked copies. I mean, that's upsetting. I don't think a lot of people know that. I don't think a lot of people appreciate it. On the other hand, you definitely can't do something like what EA is doing. I mean, EA should know that Secure ROM, just the name, it has such a bad connotation with PC gamers right now, and making a worse version of this software to put on your games is just a bad move, and they should have known that, and they should have done something about it.
The conspiracy theorist in me is like, because they have such a bad rep with PC gamers already, they're doing the little Machiavelli route and just trying to kill PC gaming with this thing. I don't really think it's going that far, but
I don't think they're doing that. I just think they're making an incredibly ill-advised business decision, and they should have seen what happened last summer with Take-Two and BioShock. And they should have taken a page out of that playbook and said, we need to change this. They didn't. I can definitely see them going forward with similar types of DRM, unfortunately. Now, I don't know what the alternative is. A lot of people will point to Stardock and Sins of a Solar Empire and say, hey, that game, did crazy business. It is. It's a sleeper hit. It's the PC gaming hit of this year.
Yep.
Huge surprise. Sold great and had no copy protection. Everyone's just,
Yeah, but, Sins of the Solar Empire, it's RTS.
Yeah.
Very hardcore. Multiplayer. And that's going to appeal to an older, probably gamer with a little more money than somebody who's playing a Call of Duty or even a Mass Effect that's been more mass marketed.
Yeah.
To definitely a younger gamer who probably is more enticed to pirate if it's out there and they're used to using torrents and that sort of thing.
I think so. I definitely think that the type of game depends on how much it's going to get pirated, and I definitely think that given the steep learning curve of Sins of the Solar Empire and the fact that it's an RTS, definitely played in its favor, because I don't think I think a lot of people, for a game like Call of Duty 4, you can just pick it up and start blasting.
Right.
And it's still a great game, but it's more, everyone knows about it, everyone's going to try to get their hands on it.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I can see it working with Spore, for instance, because there's such a huge online component to Spore, and it's going out to almost non-gaming gamer audience.
Crossover title, yeah.
Crossover title. And so they don't care about DRM software as long as the thing works and it checks online. But Mass Effect is just weird because of the single-player gameplay style. It's just odd. So it'll be interesting to see if it really does impact sales and how EA tries to spin sales one way or another if they do leave Secure ROM on there.
We're definitely going to have to come back to this to see how the game does at launch. Definitely.
But that's all the time we have for this week. I'm Ben Meyer.
And I'm Rob Wright.
And we'll see you again next time.